Hello, this is Melissa. It is Real History on the 25th of January, 2024, and I'm happy today to be having a conversation with Malcolm. Malcolm is from Cumbria, which is now known, he tells me, as Cumberland. They've redrawn some districting, etc., but in that Cumbria region of England. Hi, Malcolm.
Hello. Thanks for inviting me on.
You bet. I'll just say also, too, that you've been writing, Alan, for a long, long time. It seems like forever, but I'm not sure because time has a weird way for me. But I feel that I know you pretty well via your emails, and you've always made really interesting observations about a variety of things, from geoengineering to group dynamics, and so I always find your emails to be thought-provoking. So I'm happy that we can have this conversation, and I'll let you decide where we go next.
Well, if I start off with just, as a lot of other people have done, describe how my waking up process, if you like, over the years. I've never really been the sort of person who just accepts things as they are. So, for example, when I was very young, I would be asking questions about all sorts of different things that perhaps parents didn't want to answer. Just searching things, really. And I have to say, I've noticed that in other people as well who are aware. They tend to be a lot more questioning than most people. I never really voted at all, because I didn't really believe in the political system at all. It was so obvious to me that it was a scam, even though I didn't know how it was a scam in the sense I didn't understand the background to it, really. And at the time, when I was younger, sort of late teens, early 20s, I kind of had the idea that it would be possible somehow to find out how it was a scam, but I had no idea how you would go about that, really. I thought you'd have to intake a fantastic amount of information to be able to do it. So that kind of got put on the back burner. Moving forwards, there were things about 9/11 that, to me, didn't make sense, because I've got a scientific background. I did chemistry at university. So I tend to be very analytical in the way that I think about things. And with the 9/11 thing, I just remember it was one of those flashbulb memories that people have, where if you ask most people where they were during 9/11, then they'll be able to tell you what they were doing at the time. I do some gardening, because I happened to be in a garden at the time doing some work for somebody, and she said, come in and see what's happened, and it was on the television and everything. And the things that struck me, of course, about that, which is what a number of people have commented on at the time, was how is it possible that two towers could collapse directly into the footprint like that? That just seemed strange to me. And I didn't really buy the story of the planes thing either. From that point, I kind of put that on the back burner, and just it was one of those things that happened. And then for a few years after that, I kind of went back to normal living, if you like. But then eventually, I was watching bits and pieces of television. I've never been a very big television watcher, but I did watch a few programs and things. And there were certain things that started to strike me as odd, in the sense of, why are there so many police dramas, in the sense, and I started to think, well, surely they can come up with some other form of story than that. But if you go back through history, how many different, it's often like two cops or something or other, that kind of Starsky and Hutch, or that was from the 70s, and then there's been various ones in the UK. And it was a bit of a, I studied hypnotherapy as well in 1997 to 99. So I did chemistry in the early 90s, and then hypnotherapy in 97 to 99. And I did a bit of part-time practice of hypnotherapy for 10 years until around about 2010. So, of course, with the hypnotherapy side of things, you tend to get kind of pulled in to some extent into the new age kind of ideas and everything. And there were various people I looked into. But the thing about it was, having the scientific background, there were certain things about the things we were putting forward that didn't make sense, in the sense that they couldn't make sense in reality, because there's the causalities, the other side of the coin of what they were trying to do, which was things, the metaphysical thinking and things like that. But I do want to say that I do believe and have had quite a few experiences that don't fit into a scientific framework. I don't want to come across as somebody who's a pure reductionist, because I'm not nowhere near it. But I would say that the vast majority of things in the world are based on causality at our level anyway, at the human level. Mm-hmm. So anyway, going back to the waking up process, so I thought, well, I've never seen any of David Icke's things, so I sat there one day and watched a full day presentation that he did. And of course, David hasn't necessarily got a very good following in the sense of legitimacy, if you like, from some people. So I thought, well, I'll see if I can find anybody else. So seeing the David Icke thing led me to watching Alex Jones, which is an obvious way that a lot of people enter this kind of thing. And then Alan Watt was on there a few times, and what he said made sense. This was about 2011, early 2011, and from that point on, I just started going through Alan's work. So I downloaded the MP3 files and was listening to them mostly in the car. So, because it seemed to a good way you're driving, and then you can kind of focus on what you're listening to. It seemed easy to me to do it that way. So I went through all that lot. Eventually sent away for the books and read those several times.
I have to just interject with a bit of a joke here. A lot of people over the years have said that they fall asleep listening to Alan. They'll play it as they're drifting off to sleep, and then the sound of his voice just lulls them to sleep. And they don't mean that derogatorily. It's just calming and relaxing, etc. So I'm really glad that it didn't have that effect on you while you were driving.
No, it didn't. Although I have to admit that on occasion I have listened to some talks late at night and I have fallen asleep. So I think if you are tired, it probably does do that. Yeah. So that was the process. So really, I've kind of focused mainly on Alan's work over the last, 12, 13 years. But I also looked into things that other people were putting out. But of course, eventually, over a period of time, you get an understanding of how the counterintelligence works, and and there's a lot of people you cross off your list eventually over a period of time, because you realise that they're just counterintelligence agents, really, of one form or another. They may put out some information that's useful, that's worth looking into yourself, but at the same time, it's no point in following what they're doing, which goes back, of course, to what Alan said about Pied Pipers, and you're your own champion. So you've got to it's really a case of you think for yourself, and you get your information from sources, as long as you can verify the information, if possible, that you're getting. So that was the overall process, and I think as other people have said, it was from 2011, maybe 3 or 4 years, that there was a grieving process that went on, and you've kind of got to the way I think of it, it's a bit like a jigsaw. So you've got the reality that's presented to you, which is where all the pieces are put together in a particular way, and it's usually not very high resolution in the sense of the propaganda is very simplistic, and if you dig into any of it, you notice that things don't quite add up. But then the waking up process, to me, looking at it from that point of view, is a bit like you can put that jigsaw together in a completely different way, which gives you a completely different picture. But it requires taking the first jigsaw to pieces and then going through every single piece to see how it actually fits into the whole thing. And by going through that process, you find out all the things that you once believed in, which are not necessarily true. But then, of course, there are a lot of things that it's like things are on the back burner. Some things you can't absolutely verify it. You can have a hunch and say, well, I'm 80% convinced that that's possibly what happened. However, I would never get the 100% unless I had more information on that subject. But at least it gives you an idea of the overall picture. I was also thinking, Alan mentioned it to do with the cutting through books, to do with the Gestalt, the way that the whole is more than the sum of its parts. And the gestalt, if you like, of the fake reality, the reality that's presented to you, is different to the overall gestalt of the other reality. And I think with a lot of people, it's a case that they can't knock the whole picture down. They can take a piece out and realise something's not right, but I think it would be too much of a psychological shock for a lot of people to completely dismantle the picture. And so as soon as you point something out to them and they take one of the pieces out, they immediately put it back in again within the next few days, because they don't want to have to take the rest of the jigsaw to pieces.
Yeah,
that's the way I put it.
That's a very good point that you have brought up there. And when I was a child, they had this little visual game in the newspaper that you could play. And it was two pictures, side by side or atop each other. And it was find the differences in these pictures. And at a glance, they looked exactly the same. But then you'd go through, and I just loved it. I always played that. You'd whatever 5 or 6 things are different. But when it comes to getting conscious of this reality, you do have to kind of jump off the cliff and hope for the parachute, because you do have to smash the entire picture and put it back together for yourself if you're going to get beyond the bottom level. It just has to happen. You have to say, there's nothing that belongs in this image. The original jigsaw puzzle, if you will. The entire puzzle is wrong, and I've got to piece it together myself.
Yeah, and I think that's the difficult bit to do. I think, I'm trying to think back to a few years ago. As you smash the puzzle and you start putting it back together again, it's almost like you've got to accumulate various different bits of knowledge from various different avenues to be able to look at, in some cases, to look at one of the pieces. If you understand what I mean, it's a whole picture. In other words, information over to the right, for example, might be relevant to this piece you're looking at, but if you ignore that piece of information, you might get the wrong conclusion. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I'm not sure that this is directly related to what you just said, but it occurs to me that sometimes people get overwhelmed by the idea that they need to research, break it down and then put it back together again, or they think if I miss something, or, I'm old now and I didn't start off reading the dusty old books as a child. How will I ever figure this out? But it really isn't like that. Once the process begins and you just let it happen and you go with it, what you need to know, one thing does lead to the next thing, and then you can come back around, and it's not linear. You're putting things together and then jumping over to a new area of research and then jumping back. If you don't get discouraged by the process, if you have fun with it, if you get at peace with the process, you reach a level of understanding that satisfies you. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, on the other side of things as well, of course, everybody's individual in the sense of their experience of the world and reality is going to be slightly different, because we all have different strengths and weaknesses, if you want to put them that way, to do with the way we think about things and emotionally, that kind of thing. So, which is another reason why discussion about these sorts of topics between people who've kind of gone through the process of waking up, if you like to use that term, is useful, because it gives you different perspectives on you get stuck in your own way of thinking sometimes. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And if you get points of view from other people, you see things in different ways that you maybe haven't thought of yourself. As I said, I tend to be more analytical, which is a bit of a bias, but that's just the way I tend to think about things. But I find it useful to listen to people who are perhaps more creative, say, and you get a different perspective on things from that point of view.
Mm-hmm.